All right, being sick, losing your voice as I did last week, it's good and it's bad. It's bad because I couldn't be with you last Thursday and Friday. But it's good because it gave me time to sit back and listen and watch. I couldn't say anything. This was for hours and hours and hours. Now, frankly, a lot of it was completely depressing and utterly predictable. Now, leave it to the Democrats to try to turn a virus that started mysteriously in China into a political attack against a U.S. president.
This question still remains whether or not the president gets it.
The president is still just not being honest and upfront about the impact and the spread of corona. Corporate America knows it is coming.
You can't have an effective strategy to fight something if you won't acknowledge what it is that you're fighting and the risk that it poses.
Well, the panic pushers, they went into overdrive after the market closed. It was a terrible day on Wall Street. Now, this is part of what was said in just a 4-minute period on CNN after the market closed.
Investors are expecting a potential global recession because of the coronavirus. So we've got all of this piling on as those worries and those fears and no one really knows what's going to happen with the coronavirus.
Are things about to get even worse?
This virus is going to play havoc on the economic growth.
There's a very good chance that we're headed into a U.S. and global recession. I mean, we have the perfect storm here.
Let's just say that it was a series of, well, it's going into recession. Well, it could fall further into recession. No, it could be the worst. It could be the perfect storm, one commentator said. Well, a perfect storm with a lot of bluster and hot air. Now, even when Austin Goolsbee, he pointed out an interesting possibility of an unusually fast market recovery. Maybe in the summer, things settle down. Notice where CNN's Jake Tapper quickly took the conversation.
There is one glimmer of optimism for a virus business cycle. There is the possibility that this thing comes roaring back in a way that is not normal for a business cycle that's driven by other things.
And Rana, let's talk about the travel and tourism industry because it's been hit hard by coronavirus. We're showing some images now from northern Italy. They're virtually empty, ghost towns.
Oh, no, enough of that good news. Let's go back to the bad news. Italy? Are you kidding me? Democrats don't even support locking down our own borders. Now they're suddenly going to get on board with locking down entire U.S. cities and towns, what, with the National Guard? Oh, I can't wait to see the ACLU on that one. Give me a break. Now, despite all this, the public in some ways seems a lot more level-headed than all of the experts.
68% very or somewhat prepared if indeed somebody in their family gets coronavirus.
Well, they're getting ready, right? And the facts are actually pretty reassuring, but you never know it watching all this stuff. Now, while the number of infected persons is more than 650 now, the death toll has increased to 26, the risk to the average person does remain quite low. We need to take care of our seniors. If you're an elderly person or have a serious underlying condition, avoid tight, closed places. A lot of people don't take a cruise, maybe. Everyone else, wash your hands. Use good judgment. About your daily activities, pragmatic thinking, especially if you've been overseas recently in one of the hardest hit areas. The president's coronavirus team is literally working around the clock to fight the epidemic spread and to give the public the most up-to-date information and guidance. They should continue to have these no-nonsense briefings to the press, preferably, I think, at the same time every day. That would also be very reassuring. Now, as I said weeks ago, total transparency, even about the bad stuff, is going to go a long way to calm things down. Public is going to know we're going to get through this. We're America. We do big things. We get through tough stuff. But apart from fighting the medical issues and the public health aspect of this nasty virus, there are 4 steps the president himself can take in an effort to protect America from sustaining deep economic wounds. Steps, by the way, that harken back to his original America First agenda. Number 1, immediately send your infrastructure proposal to Capitol Hill. No more delays. If the parties were working in good faith, this should have happened years ago. Call Pelosi and Schumer, bring him back to the White House. No more drama, no more finger pointing by Nancy or running out or photo ops or running to the mics or the cameras. Just get it done. Number 2, This morning, I wrote that the president should propose a temporary payroll tax cut for workers. This afternoon, it seemed like the White House was reading my mind.
Tomorrow, we're seeing the Senate and discussing a possible payroll tax. We're also going to be talking about hourly wage earners getting help.
So the president is 100% committed that we will provide whatever tools we need.
We're going to stand by those hardworking Americans and make it possible for us to put the health of America first.
Yes, a targeted payroll tax cut will put more money in Americans' pockets, an important stimulus in rocky times. Push the House Democrats to make this happen. Number 3, propose a new U.S. industrial policy that's good for businesses and workers. We need to get back to Made in America, especially when it comes to essential items that we cannot do without, like medical supplies, medical devices, prescription, and over-the-counter medicines. China has a virtual monopoly on the ingredients used in antibiotics. We should never have allowed that to happen. It's time to decouple. Incentivize companies to bring manufacturing back home. We need to be less dependent on global markets and more self-sufficient. This latest crisis makes the wisdom of Trump's America First agenda all the more compelling. We can't keep flooding America with migrant families on the bogus asylum pretense either. We got to be stronger on these borders. My final point. While some people are being flown back to Mexico pending their cases, thousands are still getting in. Impossible to screen completely. For health, you bet. It's impossible to do this. Now is not the time for us to take in any extra burdens on our schools. My son's schools, by the way, are closed all week in Montgomery County, Maryland. We don't need any more burdens on the schools or the healthcare system. And finally, although Trump can't order the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates, an independent agency, we all should keep pressure on the Fed to do that. Rates should be lowered. Another stimulus needed, you bet. If America enters a formal recession, well, Americans across every socioeconomic group, every age group, every ethnicity, every state, every county will suffer, many greatly. If Democrats want to stand in the way of these common sense measures, let them go to their constituents and defend that move. Look, bad things happen, and this virus is one of them. But setting off panic around the world is not the answer. We need to calm everything down, propose smart legislation will help do that. Now, think about this. If Trump, like day after day, is saying that he has a plan that's going to save the U.S. economy, and yet Pelosi just grandstands, she won't meet, she won't compromise, she won't even allow a vote, then Americans will have all the information they need to make an informed choice in November and inoculate the United States from the Democrats' virus of failed leadership. Remember, President Biden, he's going to make it more certain, not less certain, that we're dependent on the very country that allowed this virus to spread, China. And that is not the way to go. And that's the angle.